As many of you know, just before Memorial Day, I was informed by my landlord that my lease was being terminated. Now, this was no fault of my own. I'd been a good tenant, paid my rent on time, and really, had actually improved the space I was in. But for reasons unknown, they terminated the lease, and that could have came at a worse time because I was getting ready to leave for the Philippines. Well, we departed with family and friends helping me pack up. In 3 days. I vacated the space I was in and turned it over to the landlord, and then proceeded to go overseas for a couple of months, then came back near the beginning of August, which started the transformation of what I'm going to show you today. I'm in my living space. I live in a loft above a garage, about a 2,000 square foot space. And it's never been a full-time working area because I had the studio to go to 13 miles away in an area where there was high-speed internet. Here I have Starlink, and I also have a point-to-point system called DMCI, which is proving so far to be okay. But what I want to do is I just want to walk you through the transformation that I have done. I'm not going to show you everything because, yes, this is in part my living space, but also in part now my studio. So where I'm sitting at right now is essentially the working area when I do the day-to-day activities for Raw Voice, and everything that I do for the company is really right here. And again, right on the other side of this is my living room, and over that way is my bedroom and kitchen. So we won't go into that, but I will show you a little bit of how I've transformed part of this space into taking a 1,200 square foot office and really jamming it into a much smaller location. My edit bay used to be an entire room where I had a backup TriCaster and a audio editing station and video editing station. So everything has been consolidated now. I did have a Mac that I updated because the trash can Mac Pro I had really did not, had too much noise for the location, had some issues as well. So I upgraded to the Apple Studio. But I do all the video and audio editing here, and plus right here to the right of me is where all the data backups happen for everything that I do. I have a little bit of overkill at this point because I have two Drobos. I used to have one here at the house and then one at the studio. So now one backs up the other. So I really have double redundancy in a RAID situation. Right behind the edit station is where I moved the studio to. And what I did, because the walls here are pine and had such a high reflection, I built a false wall and then placed my soundproofing against the back. So the camera view that the audience sees, that's essentially came from the previous studio and provides audio enhancement. But right behind these panels here, I have soundproofing material as well as over here on this side. You can kind of see I've made myself a bit of a motif, a fake type of shelter. It's worked out real well. So for those of you who have never seen the studio before, this is just back props. Obviously, not all this is seen on the air. We've got little lights in the corner here to keep the back lit. Same thing on this side. There's lights that are helping. In this area here, I've got lights that shine on me so that keeps shadows up underneath my neck. And you may say, my God, Todd, what is all this gear? Well, let me just start off by, this is where I set when I do the shows. And I have 3 cameras. I have the main camera, which is normally the camera that's being shot, a side camera to a side view that I'm using more often now, and then a camera over here. Of course, this is the TriCaster. If I was to rebuild the studio ever again, I would not go with the TriCaster. I'd probably go with that new Rodecaster video platform that they've just come out with. But, again, I've built this over the years. And behind me is the rack with all my audio gear and everything that is needed to basically produce a show in audio, and the audio and video flow. Again, this is a show, and of course the monitor behind, I'm able to look up and interact with this. And this has got the ability to switch now, so that if I want to see what is happening with see if this will sync up. Maybe sync up with the TriCaster. I'm able to see the TriCaster background instead of the computer background. But really, everything I do for the show and all the planning and discussion points is here. Here's a little side monitor so that when I'm on a different camera view, and I found I had this in a box. I didn't even realize I had this little camera before. And it really replicates what happens over here on the main screen. So it just gives me an idea. I can look out of the corner of my eye and see what shot I'm on. And if I need to switch the shot, I can through the switcher right here. This is basically the control of all the streams, everything that happens with YouTube, Facebook, restreaming to all the different locations, and watching the chat. This is that's its sole purpose in life, is to sit there and do that. Now that's a Mac that the battery went bad in, keyboard's bad in. I got a replacement keyboard here. So it's a MacBook that's really on its last legs from a usage standpoint. So it's basically been put in, a unit that had many, many years of, I guess for a better word, active service. That I use a second. Now, it's kind of funny too. Here's another old Windows notebook that its pure job in life is to do the audio stream. And below here, I have a Rodecaster that is only used on one specific show for a specific use case. But again, the mixer activities happen over on this side. So all in all, everything that I had in the previous studio in this particular area is just about the same in regards to layout. Use the same furniture and everything else. There's no more green screen, there's no more demo room, but this is what has evolved and what is now the main studio for doing the shows that I do. Not to mention the adding right here in the middle of the room this big truss to house all the lights and so serve as a place where I do my podcast. So that gives you a little bit of behind the scenes. What kind of interesting is I'd bought Unify systems for both the house and for the previous studio. So now I've got probably the most expensive, fancy Wi-Fi interconnected stuff in probably the whole damn state. So this is the opposite side of the studio. I've got the audio mixer. I've got the TriCaster down there, the Unify switches, and this is where all the internet comes in. One is a Starlink connection, the other is DMCI, which is the point-to-point system. I'm out in the middle of the country. I'll give you guys a view of where I'm at in the country when I'm all done here. But again, this is the hush box. I can shut that door, and it's very, very quiet. So, everything's tied in here. All the channels, be able to do 3 guests coming in on the platform in various ways. So that's the transition in this section. One of my biggest challenges is where to put all the art. I have a lot of art, a lot of prints, and the walls here are angled. So there's really not a lot of flat surfaces to put stuff. So this area used to be kind of like a consolidated storage area. Now I've reorganized it, and there's a lot of shelf, a lot of stuff stashed away that you can't see. But essentially this area, this is the demo table that came out of the demo room at the studio. This is I had an iMac here and an iMac at the studio. So, what am I going to do with the second iMac? I've got some stuff here, but personal preference, personal stuff, books, awards, just knickknacks from years and years of my military life and everything else. So this is kind of like a little niche corner, and I'm actually going to use this area here for converting a lot of media that I have that's still in tape and CD into digital media to bring it back so that we won't lose it. But anyway, that's my little area where I've stuffed a lot into. And as you can see, I'm in rural America, and there is no wired internet here. So it's either Starlink or your phone or a third-party service, which I use, which is called DMCI. And to be honest with you, this move would not have been possible to come back and work and produce my show here had it not been for Starlink. We've been live streaming on Starlink for a while now, and it's worked out okay. I've always had this saying that I've used, that you never build your castle on rented land. And where I was at, I thought I was in a good situation from a rent standpoint, and being in the building that I was in, because there was just huge number of vacancies around me. No one renting this commercial space. I had set that commercial space up and probably spent $40,000 or $50,000 to make to have that space before 5 years ago. And now this transition, I've probably spent $3,000 to $5,000 probably to the move, the storage, the buying of cabinets, because I've got a lot of cabinets I bought to be able to put valuables in and lock them up. I've had construction work done in the building itself, so that to make the location more secure, we just had put a steel door in. We got the security system hooked back up, the right type of cameras and connections that are tied into the cloud that can't be disrupted if someone tries to cut my internet service. Those types of things have been taken into consideration here in getting this set up. So am I in a better spot now than I was before? Probably, because this location, I know I'm secure. I know that I can build my empire, build my brand, continue to do what I do without worrying about the landlord terminating a lease. So I'm pretty pleased with how things have progressed, but it was truly about a 50-day run or maybe even close to 2 months to really get to the point here where I feel everything's pretty dialed in and set up, and the storage unit is still half full of stuff that I have, and we'll be selling stuff on Marketplace and other locations. But just a little bit behind the scenes. Hope you enjoyed the tour. Still, some people say overkill, but what I had before was way overkill. With the green screen room and the demo room, they didn't get used that much. So in essence, we're in a better position now. But if you're looking for soundproofing material, world-class stuff, send me an email. I can make you a great deal on some soundproofing stuff. You'll have to come get it or pay for the shipping. Thanks for watching Beyond the Office.